Hello. Right now, every business, every industry is looking for the new ways to innovate, increase the competitive advantage, and go global. Welcome to the Digital Perspectives. The program is all about exploring your digital ideas and strategies to help business to build your brand and monetize it. I am 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒉𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄 if you're watching this from number of channels, including LinkedIn Live, Facebook, YouTube, and number of the channels, feel free to give us a thumbs up, comments, and give us a feedback. Now, also, if you're by the way, if you're new, just tuning in from any cities, Australian or anywhere and overseas or globally, this is a very global village. Just type in which city you are tuning in from. We'd love to hear from that. And if you have been visiting our episodes in the last couple of weeks, I'd love to hear your feedback. And also, I promise today's 15-20 minutes would be very interactive, as well as this episode's the primary aim is to help you to understand the current trend and opportunities in manufacturing, advanced manufacturing right here in Australia. So I have got a very, very special guest, Michael Sarp, who is a National Director of Advanced Manufacturing Growth Center, focusing on technology, energy, infrastructures, medical tech, recycling, and clean energy. So let's welcome to Michael. Good day, Michael. Great to have you today.
Good to be here, mate. Always good to catch up.
You bet. Thank you so much. I know you are in vacation now, and we are so honored to have you on the show, especially sharing some. I know you just come from the press conference from Prime Ministers, and our viewers are loving to want to die on what you are sharing here today, Michael.
Sure. Well, it's been great. I have been on annual leave, which has been terrific, but I'm back on deck today, and I've flown up to Armidale. So I'm in regional New South Wales, in the New England region at Armidale. So I'm here visiting manufacturers across the city. Some great stuff happening in manufacturing right now, and you're right, mate. It was terrific to hear Prime Minister Scott Morrison just address the National Press Club around the future for manufacturing in Australia. And certainly at the Advanced Manufacturing Growth Centre, which I represent with my colleagues, we say that manufacturing is not so much a sector of industry, it's actually a nation's capability. What are we capable of making? What are we capable of doing and exporting that to the world?
Totally, Michael. Couldn't agree more here. And I know you are so proactive, member of Australian community, dedicated volunteer, a proven leader. When anyone goes to the website, they will see how many years you have served, and you have still been so proactive. I love your passion and the energy, and always dedicated for help the opportunities for the Australians. Now, I understand, currently there is so much emphasis going on Aussie manufacturing, right? Making the country stronger. And goods, obviously, it's a lesson learned after COVID-19.
Yeah.
So what are the innovations and inventions happening right now in Australian manufacturing sector to make this happen, Michael?
Well, I've heard it said that we've probably seen around 5 years worth of innovation just in the last 5 months. And I think that's pretty accurate. So manufacturing right now, we say it's competing on value, not on cost. And certainly when the crisis first hit, we had some extreme needs straight away. And we saw many companies pivoting their production capabilities to make hand sanitizer. We needed face masks and we needed ventilators. So my colleagues and I were able to pull together a new supply chain of around 30 local manufacturers, predominantly in New South Wales and Victoria, to produce the ventilator. So the federal government funded $31 million towards that project. And I'm pleased to say that right now we're close to 1,000 of those units coming off the assembly line, and we're going to produce 2,000 high-value, complex bit of kit in a ventilator. But thankfully, they'll be going to the medical stockpile. But those 30 companies who didn't know each other before and are now collaborating to build such a complex bit of equipment are now looking at, well, we've done it. How about we look at the export opportunities? And I know myself, that's the future for Australian manufacturing. We need a global market, high value goods and producing high skilled jobs here in Australia, but a global market that we can take our goods to. It doesn't matter where you travel in the world. People love Aussies. We're respected as Australians, and people respect Australian products. So we've got a great brand that we all share and that we can take to the world. And so the more that we can value add around that, I think that's the future for Aussie manufacturing.
Yeah, what a fact you mentioned, man. What a story. Obviously, these 30 manufacturers you mentioned, they now, I think they would have realized the power of collaboration, I would imagine.
Yeah, very much so. Collaboration is such a key driver for advanced manufacturing. And so being able to connect with researchers, we've got some of the best research minds in the world right here in Australia, be it at CSIRO or ANSTO and any of our great universities. And so it's been terrific to take some of the researchers out with me and meet some of the AMGC members and walk the factory floor. And both parties learn something. Sometimes it's looking at new ways of doing things or having a fresh set of eyes to a problem to come up with a new idea. And certainly we've seen plenty of those, and some of the projects that we've been able to co-fund with industry, you can see them on our website at amgc.org.au. We've got about 80 projects now that we've been able to co-fund, and they're leading world technologies that have global export potential and are happening right now. Just this morning, Pravin, we had ambassador, the ambassador to the United States, the Honourable Arthur Sinodinos. He was able to launch our Omni Tanker project. And so that was a virtual event. We had Ambassador Sinodinos coming from the embassy in Washington. We had the people on the ground in Ohio, where this chemical road tanker that's being manufactured in Sydney is going to hit the road today. And of course, we had the owners of the company in Western Sydney who developed this new world's first technology in chemical road tankers.
Wow.
So have a look at Omni Tanker. You'll see that project on our website. But to have the ambassador launch that this morning on a day that we're talking about manufacturing in Australia, I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, you bet, Michael. So all those viewers who are watching this right now, all the details are AMGC website is there, amgc.org.au. Please follow through. Now let's go a little bit deeper. You touched on today's announcement of Prime Minister about $1.3 billion for 4 years, and those viewers who are watching this right now for medical tech or logistics supply chains, or they might be in food and beverage, could you just give a bit of snapshot, please, Michael?
Yeah, sure. Well, the Prime Minister's announced the second round of what's called the Manufacturing Modernisation Fund, and so that was massively oversubscribed in the last round. So I know there'll be a lot of uptake for that. And that's where industry leaders can invest in their capital equipment needs to grow their manufacturing capabilities. So if anyone needs to have a look at that, they can get onto business.gov and see the snapshot of the grants available through that program. But it's much broader than that too. It's everything from food production to heavy engineering and defence industry. So how can we make sovereign capability, boost sovereign capability here in Australia, not just with defence, but also with the space sector. So next week, we'll be talking with a range of people across the Australian space industry. And we saw last year that the Australian Space Agency was officially launched. We now, as a nation, as a country, as you know, mate, we're now a signatory to the NASA Moon to Mars mission. And so we're working with several companies that are looking to be part of that. And so Australian technology and expertise are being used with our international partners to go out of this world. Wow. Mate,
yes, interesting time we are living in, but what are opportunities? Because we believe, every crisis is an opportunity. And as you said, the whole idea, this is a perfect time to take our technology to a global, not just within Australia or any countries, but now obviously it's a global village. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And some people ask, what is advanced manufacturing? And some of the way towards that is thinking about the digital transformation that the world is going through and the impact on manufacturing around that, what they call the fourth industrial revolution. Maybe I could touch on one of our other projects, a company.
Please.
It's a company in Canberra called Ammudent, and they're making medical technologies for dentists. And so, I'm told that a lot hasn't changed in dentistry over the last 100 years. The technology advances have all been in the wand, if you like, that the dentists use. Ammudent have developed robotics technology for dentistry. And so there's smart sensing involved with that. There's the robotics technology, of course, and small cameras and the like that are needed. But now you could do remote dentistry via this robotics dentistry technology developed right here in Australia.
Wow, how cool is that? And I remember last week only I had a feature to one of our thought leader in dentistry. Obviously, she shared about the new projects he has been working on using the AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So it's all happening right here, and that's what all about advanced manufacturing and using the technology in an efficient way.
Oh,
Yeah.
very much so. And one of the other great things we've been able to do is launch Australia's first manufacturing academy. So I know you'll put the link up for that. But
Yes.
the manufacturing academy has just gone terrific. I was able to go around the country and interview a lot of our members, and on that platform, they're sharing their own story about how they're transforming their business today, be it around the digital transformation, be it around upskilling their workforce, and even down to the sales and marketing, how to get that product out to the world. That's very important.
You bet. Developing is one thing, and obviously taking that to a next level, globalization is another thing. That's great, great feedback, Michael. Now, just on that note, I can see you are very active on, day to day, very active on the social medias, on your webinars, on LinkedIn. If anyone would follow that, which I'm sure many of the viewers right now they are. Daily they are updating and they are checking out what's Michael has been doing. So, in your experience, in what ways, this digital transformation or these digital tools, including webinars or any social media, will help to grow for the Australian manufacturing industry, Michael?
That's one of the things I'm very passionate about. I'm still surprised that I still meet companies that don't even have a website. So I know there's room for improvement, but it's still, that's very much on the sales and marketing side of the business too. We've got some great companies around the country that I have engaged with that are using social media to their advantage. And so one of the companies would be a company called Norweld, a small company up in North Queensland at Cairns.
Right.
And they develop ute trays for the back of Toyota Land Cruisers. And so think about the pop-out campers or heavy equipment that you might find on the back of the Toyota Land Cruiser ute and others. They manufacture those in Cairns. And just through an Instagram page that they've developed, they now export globally. So by taking photos of the work they do, and they're very proud of their finished products, and rightly so, I'd encourage you all to have a look at Norweld and have a look at their Instagram feed. Some terrific photos of their utes out in the middle of Australia, over in the United States, in the Middle East, but just through Instagram, which is completely free, and they've been artistic in their photos. They've grown an export customer base just off social media. So I think there's a wide potential and so much more that we can learn in Australian manufacturing about not just making products, but actually selling them and finding a global market.
You bet. Wow, what a great advice, mate. Yes, especially someone like me, in my past life, 20 years ago, obviously I put the hat as a engineering hat, always making, always designing, always developing, engineering, always coding. But then after that, in last almost 12, 15 years, learn all about, so not about making, but obviously you have to package it. Obviously you have to promote it. You have to sell it. So there's the whole science behind it. And that's where I think a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the engineers, a lot of, they can package it well, and they obviously they need to find the ways how it can go to a global market. Now that's great advice, Michael. Now, also, just on that note, you shared something very interesting recently on LinkedIn. You mentioned, I think, five years of the whole innovations is happening in 5 months in every industry, including healthcare, technology, supply chain, every industry. So those viewers who are watching this right now, would you mind sharing just simple 5 tips, top tips, what we can expect from Australian manufacturing during and post COVID-19, Michael?
Oh, sure. I mean, the collaboration we're seeing now is tremendous. We've been talking about this for many years, but to now see it in action is heartening. I know we've got a bright future for manufacturing in this country. We make good stuff. And so be it a startup company today or a long-established family business, we've got a whole range of members at AMGC, and they're talking with each other and supporting each other through this current crisis. But, some of the firms that we deal with have been around for a long, long time, and this isn't their first crisis. So we can all learn from each other. This digital transformation that is occurring, it's a global thing. I'd much rather see our manufacturers have a global audience for their products. In addition to the 25 million people we have here in Australia, there's 7 billion people all around the world. So it makes it quite attractive if you can engage with organisations like Austrade and others to look at mapping out what is the market for the products that you make. And I talked about Ammudent with their medical technologies. We've got people in defence. I talked about Omni Tanker with their chemical road tanker. But what about food production? Very much now people are going to be trusting Australia and for our food products. We grow good stuff. We're in a healthy, clean environment. and we've got a world that's looking for more and more food. So I think we've got a very bright future in not just agriculture in growing produce, but in processing and packaging and taking that food to the world. So there's a lot of advantages that we find ourselves with here in Australia. And so that's from the traditional sides, but I'm very excited about what we can do in the space industry. And so, you know, seeing these companies that are transitioning now from perhaps being a traditional engineering firm that are now looking for the opportunity to be involved with the space industry. So a company that comes to mind is a Sydney-based family business called 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒂, and they are Australia's only watch manufacturer.
Right.
They make a very fine product, and they've got a great blog on their website as well, so they share their story. But when the Australian Space Agency started reaching out and said we need to build local supply chains here in Australia, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒂𝒄𝒕𝒂𝒄 was one of the firms that I connected with. They've got outstanding equipment for making very intricate pieces for their watches, which could be a natural fit for satellite production. There's a big growing market around the world for what they call small sats. And so satellites are something we can do well here within Australia.
Right.
But transitioning our manufacturing footprint to the future industries is really important, and we're seeing that happen.
You bet. Now, that's a great point, Michael. So if you're just tuning in, I'm with Michael Sarp. He's a National Director of Advanced Manufacturing Growth, AMGC Center, talking about building a smart manufacturing economy. And Michael just shared about top ideas, which means obviously learn from each other. We always can learn from each other, obviously adding more value, digital transformation. He touched on about 7 billion people, and obviously the power of collaboration, how to collaborate so you can have a wider reach. Now, also what he have shared is not about just the making, but monetizing through packaging well, which in Australia is very well known for processing, packaging, and taking, and obviously we have to take to a global. Now, that's a great ideas. Anything particular, the stories you have shared is amazing, Michael. Anything you wanna obviously, I'm conscious with the time. Anything you wanna give more or share with our audience, please?
I just know that a lot of firms in manufacturing, but also in the general public, are looking for personal safety equipment at this time. And so we did launch the Manufacturing Response Register, and that's completely free for anyone to access. And you put on your needs there, whether it's hand sanitizer or face masks or emergency hospital beds perhaps, but a free service on our website where you can link to the register, which will then in turn connect you to the manufacturers that can make those products for you. So if you're looking for those needs, get on board.
So would that be AMGC website, Michael?
Yeah,
amgc.org.au.
That's
and
correct.
Easily able to find out. So /tool, is it? I'm just on the website right now.
It's on that main page.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I see that. Okay. That's great, Michael. Thank you so much. I mean, especially coming, just from the vacation today and with all these announcements happening, and we are really honored to have you. And thank you so much for your time. We're looking forward to continuing this conversation. I see a great passion, and obviously we all are on the same boat, making this country proud for advanced manufacturing. So what you are doing is amazing.
Always good to see you, mate.
That's good. Thank you, Michael. Great to see you. Thanks, mate. Cheers. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed these episodes. I sincerely, appreciate your feedback. Would love to know more about how you are thinking to position your business in a next level. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to just email me at praveen@vizhnetwork.com.au. I hope this episode has been value to you and help you to understand how to innovate, increase your competitive advantage, and go global. All right. Until